Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Mortgage Reports podcast. We've got a special topic today and one that's pretty popular right now in the marketplace, and that is on bridge lending. So we're going to get into what it is, what you need to know about it, who it's actually for, and just how easy it truly can be. I'm with a very dear friend of mine and colleague that I work closely with here in California, Sofia Nadjibi, who is the president of Golden Gate Lending. They're a private lending institution that facilitate a number of bridge loan and private loan transactions in real estate, and probably more than some people may actually know, had their name on a lot more deals over the last couple of years through the pandemic than you might actually be surprised to know about. So, Sofia, thanks for sitting down with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to ask you just a couple of quick questions for our audience and our viewers and people that tune into the podcast, just how simple a bridge loan can be. But before we get into what makes it easy, what is a bridge loan? If you had to tell your 10-year-old son what a bridge loan is and dumb it down that way, what would you say?
So a bridge loan, it can be really complicated and it can be really simple. Okay. So let's do the simple version. Right. So the simple version is really when someone owns a property that has equity. You want to take that equity, move it into another property, and that bridge right there, that's a bridge loan.
That's a bridge loan, just like it sounds.
Just like it sounds. So a good number for people to kind of think about is if you have at least 50% of equity in this property that you're getting ready to sell, you can move that over to the next property. And that's really what a bridge loan is.
So a lot of people may think or get curious about, okay, well, what would constitute as a situation that would warrant a bridge loan? And if we look as an example, because there's a few and we're going to touch on them.
Yeah.
There's a few here, but if we look at the last few years, right, we had a pandemic. People were sitting at home and then all of a sudden realized, well, you know what, actually now that I have to be at home or now that I'm stuck with you in this house or these kids all, 24/7, we need a bigger house, or I'm curious about a bigger house. It wasn't on my radar yesterday, but the day after the shutdown, it now changed my priorities and thinking. And I happen to stumble upon this house. This house would be perfect, but I'm not ready to sell my house. Yep. I wasn't even thinking about selling my house 24 hours ago, but now all of a sudden I'm presented with this life-altering intersection of like, this could be a much better situation for me. So that's where you and I had connected, but that's an ideal bridge loan scenario, correct?
Definitely.
And one that you saw a lot of?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that we saw over the pandemic is that so many people had lifestyle changes. They looked at their home in a very different way. They looked at a home as, a place where they wanted to bring their family together, cook, enjoy the backyard. They needed that extra office space to be able to, do Zoom calls, for the kids to be able to do school. So they needed more space. And that, I think, was the biggest change that we saw in our business, is that a home was it became the sanctuary. And what we really were able to help a lot of people, especially families that grew out of their space. So, now with a bridge loan, as long as they had that equity in the home that they lived in, we were able to help them without moving. They could stay in the comfort of their home and get pre-approved for the bridge loan. But then what they could do is they could be out there shopping. And once that right home came around, they could go in, write a cash-like offer, no contingencies. We don't even need appraisals on these bridge loans. But what was so great is that they didn't have to, change anything in their regular life. So they didn't have to try to move into a short-term rental, especially during COVID. That was a big deal.
Right.
So they could stay in the comfort of their home, get approved, and then just be ready out there looking. Because once they're approved for the bridge loan, and by the way, there's no cost or commitment to doing this, it just allows them to have the option and an opportunity to move if they want to.
Or the loaded gun approach, as I like to say. You've got a loaded gun. If something comes up, you can shoot. You can take your shot and not have to wait and say, well, we need to get our ducks in a row. You brought up something I think that is really important and that people in our audience should hear, again, is this can function as good as a cash offer. A lot of buyers have been frustrated, let's be honest, over the last decade, competing with cash offers. They say, well, I get priced out because there's somebody's always coming in with cash, or another cash offer beat me out. It wasn't even necessarily an offer higher than mine, but the fact that they could pay cash and close in 14 days was what the seller was most motivated by. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, a bridge loan doesn't necessarily work without collateral to actually use or put up, for the bridge. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's usually not a great idea. Just we can do it if someone really needs to have that super competitive edge to be able to write an offer. But most of the time, a bridge loan is used if you own a property, and moving that equity over.
So that's the prime person that fits or is a candidate for a bridge loan. If you're thinking, well, how would I know if I would want a bridge loan or need a bridge loan? If you own a property and you aren't necessarily thinking or in position to sell your home, but you want to be ready to potentially get another home if it were to come up, then a bridge loan is how you would do that. That's what you need to be thinking about and how you might be eligible.
Definitely.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. And another, we also see a lot of retirees using this product because, in your lending world, you have to calculate debt to income ratios and the ability to repay. With the bridge loan, because it's an equity-based loan, we look at equity to qualify. So someone that's retired and that has been in the home for, sometimes 20 plus years, it's so stressful for them to try to be able to sell before they buy. But with the bridge loan, they can just get approved for the bridge loan and then again be out there shopping without having to leave their home. They can, and then once the right time comes around with the right home, they can make that move. So retirees is a really, it's a good area for someone that wants to get a bridge loan as well.
All right, that's great. So you talk about retirees, we talk about people that own homes currently. Who else is kind of you've done so many of these, thousands of them over your career. Who else makes an ideal bridge loan candidate?
So someone that's looking for an investment property.
Okay, great.
So someone that is, we also work with a lot of fix and flip buyers. So a lot of contractors, a lot of people that are, they see an opportunity. And that's kind of what the bridge loan will allow them to do, is take advantage of an opportunity if it's there. But again, they don't pay for it unless they use it.
Right.
So at the time of funding, that's when the bridge loan interest starts, and that's when the costs are due. But there's nothing due from us before that.
Right. So if someone is looking to pursue a bridge loan, let's try and bust up a few myths here or explain for our audience just how easy it is. So the process of actually applying. Break that down for us.
Yeah. So it is very easy. So the first step of the process is a quick phone call with me, 15 to 30 minutes, where I ask them lots of questions. I really figure out exactly what they're looking for, because what we want to do is come up with the ultimate strategy. So first step, phone call. Second step is we send them kind of a breakdown of everything that we've talked about on the phone call. And then it also has a link to our secure application. That secure application takes about 30 minutes or so. And once we review that, we determine what documents we need. And it's a lot less documents than compared to a traditional loan.
What I have to ask people for, which is what they hate me for.
So because we're an equity-based lender, we care much more about the property that they're selling. So copy of mortgage statement, copy of insurance, those kind of things. We still ask for income documentation because we have to check that off for the file. But that's not how we qualify. We qualify based on equity.
Got it.
So, and then once they have uploaded all that, including the application, then we have a 24-hour turnaround time. And that is from the time that we review it, we send it to our underwriter, and he usually takes about 2-3 hours to review it as well. And they're approved within less than 24 hours.
Incredible.
And once they're fully approved, they are a cash-like offer with no contingencies, no appraisal, no loan, no sale. and they're good to go and find that perfect home.
Perfect. So again, as good as a cash offer, and this is a huge tool or a weapon if you're a home buyer in the market who owns property currently, whether it's investment property or you have a primary residence with equity, because that's the key component to making a bridge loan work. But this can really arm you and put you in the best possible position to win. So sometimes a bridge loan isn't necessarily under the pretext or context of, well, I wasn't thinking about moving and something came up. As we pointed out in an earlier example, it could be a situation where you are very intentional about wanting to do it, and a bridge loan is actually going to be the type of financing that you use to get you there. So somebody can actually do this entire process from the way you just stated it and get everything done literally in a matter of a couple of days, if not sooner, depending on how quickly they upload stuff. And that's incredible to think that you could get a bridge loan or an approval for a bridge loan put in place. Sophia, you say as good as a cash offer. That means you're able to close bridge loans how quickly?
So if it's an owner-occupied bridge loan, we still have to follow the federally mandated timelines, TRID. So we still have to offer them 7-day waiting period, 3-day waiting period, and the 3-day right of rescission.
Okay.
So when you add all those days up, it comes to be 17 days. So 17 days is the quickest that we can close when we're using another property to collateralize with. If it's just one property, we can close as quickly as 14 days. But another note is also if we have to step in the middle of the process and essentially save a deal, we can close as quickly as 5 to 7 days.
Okay. Very good to know. And last thing I want to ask you and clarify as well for our audience. A lot of people may assume that a bridge loan is a final loan or that it's something you're stuck in. A bridge loan is meant to be a very temporary bridge, quote unquote. It's something that gets you from this place to this place. And eventually we have, and this is where we work together, what is called the exit strategy or the restructuring of your debt into a more traditional mortgage product. So somebody may only be in a typical bridge loan. What do you see on average? How long do they stay in that bridge loan before we end up restructuring? Because sometimes they have some things that need to happen. Sell the old place, clean it up, get it ready to sell, restructure things, pay down some debts, and now can qualify for a traditional mortgage.
So the goal is, like you said, the goal is to kind of get into the new property, but get out of this bridge loan as quickly as possible. Because bridge loan interest rates are a lot higher than a traditional loan. So we want them to get into your loan as quickly as possible. So usually right now, average time frame is between 1 to 3 months, probably about 45 days or so on average right now. And the reason for that is because it is a very hot market. And that's one of the risks with a bridge loan is that what if it takes them a while to sell the other property? Or what if they can't sell it at the price that they're looking for? So that's one risk. The other risk is what if they're not pre-approved for your long-term mortgage? So we want to make sure that we eliminate both risks, but the goal is to really get them into your loan as quickly as possible.
All right, and that's what we prefer as well, because it gives us the opportunity to be able to work together. So again, if you are seeking a bridge loan or wondering is it for me or not, it could be a situation where the unanticipated home of your dreams just suddenly walks into your life, or you walk into its life, so to speak, and then you now need to restructure your entire financial approach. How am I going to get into this house? That makes you eligible to be thinking about a bridge loan. If you have a current asset and you want to be a very competitive buyer in today's market, even more competitive or as competitive as a cash offer potentially, that makes you bridge loan eligible. And then of course, like you mentioned, if you're looking to acquire investment property and grow your real estate holdings that way, a bridge loan can be a tremendous strategy. So I hope you guys learned something. I appreciate Sofia and Golden Gate Lending offering their expertise and information to our audience. Feel free to reach out to Golden Gate Lending or reach back to us here at any point on the Mortgage Reports to learn more about bridge financing or other loan products. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.